some people, I mean, some of the players on his program are going to be 18 years old?
No. For me, no.
Okay.
And I think because of the way the college world is set up right now, there is going to be a delegation that's going to Bill Belichick is going to handle. There's going to be a person controlling NIL. There's going to be a person overseeing the recruitment. And Bill is going to be able to just control the organization and just be X's and O's football. And everybody else is going to have to do, I guess, the quote-unquote grind thing. I think the only thing, and I wanted to ask J-Mac this, is can he coach those 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds the way that he coached the 26, 27, 28-year-olds?
No, and I think, but that goes to every college coach. I was at Rutgers with Greg Schiano. I think the way Greg Schiano coaches at Rutgers now is vastly different than the way he coached when I was there back in 2005.
And I was with Schiano in the NFL in Tampa Bay. And Coach Schiano's a great college football coach. The NFL didn't work out. And so it's kind of like the reverse.
Well, isn't that interesting? Because Greg Schiano loves Bill Belichick and holds him in the highest regard and has learned so much from him. So he was able to make that transition, but the man himself is not going to be able to make that transition. And he's going to set up North Carolina, as he already has, like it's an NFL team. He's bringing Michael Lombardi, who's a former NFL GM, to be his general manager at North Carolina. He's going to bring other coaches that have been with him. Is it going to be a surprise if Joe Judge follows him, if others follow him?
Matt Patricia.
Exactly. Oh, he's going to have this set up the way it is an NFL organization. He's bringing an NFL organization to North Carolina to try to reshape that school and the way business is done at that level.
Could reshape college football.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Let me start with Paul on that. What Schefter is describing, and we've seen this in little chunks, right? We've seen little, I mean, first of all, everything became the Wild West, and now there's a ruling that might sort of bring some guardrails back. We might have some semblance of sanity in the new professional world of college sports going forward. There's too many details to get into that. We'll see how it all shapes up. But at the end of the day, Paul, when you say a seismic event, does this sort of represent, maybe we'll look back at it and say that the first major step in the full-on professionalization of college football as we have known it?
Without a doubt, because so many college people, especially administrators, try to talk around that. Belichick met it head on in the interview the other day, and that's really where we are. The idea that Lombardi is coming in, all these other people, he's not going to have to deal with the usual problems that most college coaches deal with. Why did Nick Saban bail out a year ago, Greeny? Because he couldn't handle players coming up to him on the plane, going to the Rose Bowl for the national championship, saying, what am I going to make when this is over? Belichick's already delegated that. And another problem that college coaches have is recruiting. Recruiting is not as important as it used to be. It used to be the pipeline, but can Belichick recruit? Yes. Will they have to? The most important thing he'll have to do is what Dion has done, and that's go into the portal and paper his team that way, and he can easily do that. They'll come to him, at least initially, and I think people misunderstand North Carolina. Remember, a lot of other coaches have gone there before. Butch Davis went back and forth between the NFL, and he ended up at North Carolina and had some success. Mac did it. You can win there. I mean, the fine line is just a couple of games a year, and if he can do that, and I'm pretty sure he can, North Carolina is a power within 2 years.
Harry.
I will also say, although we all love the move for Bill Belichick, there are going to be certain hurdles that he has to get through. And we were able to have Dirk Cutter on our radio show yesterday, Freddie and Harry, who coached me in the NFL, was the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's an OC at Boise State now. And basically, I asked him about the difference in coaching college and NFL. And in so many words, and summing it up, you do have to babysit a little bit more at the collegiate level than you have to do at the NFL level. And like J-Mac, you were talking about, it's hard to coach those players in college the way you coach guys in the NFL because they're boys trying to become men. When you're dealing with guys in the NFL, they're men with families already and already at a mature level more so than the college kids are, in my opinion.
And listen, I think the conversation we're talking about, Bill being able to keep up with these young guys, I've talked to assistant coaches. They've sat in meetings, staff meetings with Bill, and they're like, somehow we sit there for 8 hours and he never gets up to use the bathroom. And we're talking about a 72-year-old guy, and these young coaches are sitting there like, I can't make it. And I'm looking at it, and we're talking about him coaching these young guys in the conversations. The one thing I think, no matter what the age you are in, when you can have somebody come in and be honest honest with you. I think about some of the conversations I've had with Bill, and we're talking about, is he going to deal with moms and all these different people? Absolutely not. I can remember I get there my first year in New England. We make it through training camp, and I get that call during the last cut down, and it's from Miss Nancy, who works in the Patriots organization, like, Bill wants to meet with you. I'm like, I hit my brother like, man, it was fun while it lasted, man. But, hey, good luck this season. I go into Bill. We have a conversation. Says, you know what, we're going to need you to take a pay cut. And he just slides the paper across the table to me. And like, that's kind of what we were thinking about. You know, take that over with your talk it over with your agent and get back to us. And those are the conversations you're having. Free agency comes about. He's the one that calls you and has that convo before the agent comes into play. And I think that's going to be the part that he brings to the table.
All right, I'm up against the clock here. I'm coming back. We have all morning to dive into this.
You told me that you had to do the same thing with J-Mac this morning.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Would never have imagined is now happening. Bill Belichick is finalizing a deal to become the next head coach at North Carolina.
I'd be lying if I didn't say I wasn't a bit shocked. A guy who's never coached college football in his dang near 50 years of coaching.
Now moving into this realm where college football is unlike anything it has ever been before.
It's a fascinating watch. I'm actually much more excited to see what's going to happen with Bill Belichick in North Carolina than I would be if he'd gone to the Falcons.
It is certainly all anyone is talking about around the world of football. Damien Woody will join us shortly. Played for Bill in his career, early in his career in New England. Right now, I'm not making this up. D. Wood is at the DMV with his son, and his signal is bad. We'll see if we're able to get that done. I think we've all been there. I think he would love to get on this show and talk about football, and we'll see if he's able to do it. I will make this comment, and look, here's the bottom line of it. 20 years ago, I would never have thought this could work because the rules that existed in college football would never have lent themselves to something like this. Now, I will be stunned if it doesn't work. I don't know exactly what working means. I don't know that it means he's going to win the national championship, but I will be stunned if this is notably unsuccessful. I do think that this needs to be said. The National Football League is not better without Bill Belichick. And the fact that this is now, Schefter said it, and it is the only thing that stands to reason. One of the reasons that Bill Belichick is doing this is because he did not have he did not have certainty, maybe had reason to believe he wasn't going to get another head coaching job. And when you look at the people who get recycled and rehired in the NFL, the idea that no one was willing to hire Bill Belichick to coach their football team, I think gives you an indication of just how desperately people in that league cling to the power that they have. Because when Bill walks in your building, it becomes all about Bill. And there were too many people that were afraid that would mean it wouldn't be about them anymore. And that is to the detriment of at least half the teams in the NFL. Bill Belichick is inarguably the best in-game coach. Forget everything else. Preparation during the week and coaching the game. No one has ever done it better. I mean, it's certainly in the modern era. I can't speak to Paul Brown and Vince Lombardi, but in the modern era, no one has been close. So, Dan, to me, this is the college football's gain is the NFL's loss.
I understand your premise. Completely agree. He's the greatest coach of all time. There's a lot of really good coaches, Greeny. You know, like, I understand where your point is, and Bill, no question, is the greatest. But at some point, Ben Johnson has to get the opportunity. At some point, an Aaron Glenn has to get his opportunity. At some point, someone like a Jesse Minter or a Brian Flores gets that second chance. So, Bill's great.
It's fine. They're going to get their chances. There's 7, 8 openings every single year. And young guys are ushered in every year. And they will be again. But there also are veterans that are brought in every year. And there will be again. And last year, all these teams had the chance to hire Bill Belichick.
Sure.
To my knowledge, express some form of interest. Washington was on the periphery, wasn't really interested, did have conversations. Atlanta, at one point in time, there were people who thought that deal was going to get done, and then it got derailed. And I think Bill Belichick didn't trust the people who make decisions to do the right thing, to hire one of the greatest coaches of all time. And so rather than face the uncertainty of another head coaching cycle where people far less accomplished than him are deciding his fate, He said, I'm going to take the certainty and take the college job in a world that is becoming more NFL-like than ever before. The only other time we've seen a Super Bowl winning head coach go back to college like this was Bill Walsh to Stanford. He went 17-17. But when he did it, it's a totally different time, a totally different era. And now Bill Belichick will get to run North Carolina the way that he wants to run it, like a business, like a pro franchise. Chapel Bill there will do it how he wants.
I think we all feel like Bill Belichick should be coaching in the National Football League, but we cannot ignore what the end looked like in New England when it came to the quarterback position. And when you look at a lot of these teams, I'm pretty sure that's something that was in these owners' mind when you think about the Chicago Bears and them having a young quarterback. They're probably thinking, well, I don't want Bill Belichick being the guy to orchestrate things for this young quarterback. Or when you think of a team like the New York Giants.
Can I stop you there for one brief moment?
Go ahead.
The Chicago Bears have been in existence for more than 100 years. They have never developed a quarterback. Literally never. In a century. The idea that the Bears think they have a better idea than Bill Belichick for how to develop a quarterback and move forward in their program, and I'm not assigning this to them because I can't assume anyone in that building actually said those words out loud, but that would be the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard in my entire life. We're talking about the end of the Bills' tenure in New England. Have we seen the people who have gotten second jobs in the NFL who haven't accomplished one billionth of what he has accomplished?
What's the thing about NFL quarterbacks now and young guys? Their development, right? Did Bill Belichick do a great job with Mac Jones' development?
Bill Belichick took the 199th pick in the draft and made him the greatest quarterback that ever lived and won 6 Super Bowls with him.
I've been Team Mac Jones, for his career, and I was the person who was like, Bill and the Patriots failed Mac Jones. Right now, it looks like I was probably wrong on that, and they got Mac Jones to play at the highest level, because Mac hasn't played well in the last 2 years, if we're being real about that. And so I think my vantage point of how things went in New England with Mac Jones and Bill, it's changed a little bit.
My thing to your point, Schefter, is when you talk about only 2 teams had those conversations with Bill, we've watched for years some of the disciples from Bill Belichick get hired, whether it's Mangini, whether it's Patricia, whether it's Flores. So the fact that now Bill is a free agent in the coaching market and teams are not even doing the thought process of let's bring him in for a few hours, whether we hire him or not. But this guy has been wildly successful with one organization for 2 decades. And the way he has done it has been sustained success. You have this conversation all the time about what works. The way he has done it has brought 6 championships to one organization. At least ask him how he did it.
Just ask if his son got his license.
By the way, did your son get his license today? Has this been a successful day?
He's taking the driving test right now.
Okay. That's why you look so nervous. Okay, so D. Wood, you played for Bill Belichick at the very beginning of your career, and candidly early in his tenure in New England as well. What was the first thought that went through your mind when you heard yesterday he's going back to college and coaching North Carolina?
You know what, Greeny? Initially, I was stunned. I was stunned because the greatest coach in NFL history going back to college, it just never crossed my mind, considering the fact that, I know Bill wanted that the all-time wins record. I think he's like 14 wins away from it. But once I started thinking about it a little bit, a lot of things started to make sense. Bill Belichick is a coaching lifer. His father was a coach. He's been a coach all his life, okay? He wants to coach. It doesn't matter the level, whether it's NFL or college. I think here's the thing with what's going on in the NFL right now. The key word of what's going on in the NFL right now is collaborate. A lot of these organizations want to collaborate. Bill Belichick is not a collaborator. You don't bring in a 6-time Super Bowl champion that's the greatest coach in NFL history to collaborate with somebody, or whether it's an owner or a GM. Any place that Bill Belichick is going to come into, he's going to want to run it. And if you look at the college landscape right now, head coaches, they run the show. That's what they do. Okay, and college now more than ever is looking more and more like pro football. Okay, like NIL collectives, that's the salary cap, transfer portal, free agency. So if you're Bill Belichick and you're not getting the looks on in the NFL, why not take a chance on the college level?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense when you look at it that way. We have explained away in our own minds. Schefter, I guess he does bring up the question about the record. I believe he's 27 wins. It's a regular season record. I think there were. I think he's 27.
14 wins away.
14 wins away
From George Hallis.
From tying.
No, Dan Shula.
Don Shula.
I think that includes playoffs. Whatever.
Yeah.
14.
Let's not quibble.
I don't think he cares about the record as much as people think.
Exactly.
Would you care to expand on that, though?
That's exactly right. I don't think he cares as much as people think. I don't know how else I could say that. Like, people are talking about, oh, he must want the record. I'm sure in the back of his mind, that would be a nice thing. I think he cares a lot more about people. I think he cares a lot more about coaching. I think he cares a lot more about making his mark. There is the record that he'd be pursuing. Okay, 16 behind George Hallis, 26 behind Don Shula. And if he doesn't get the record, in my mind, it changes his legacy. Zero. He still goes down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest coach in NFL history. He's still remembered as the guy that helped turn around New England, led them to all these Super Bowl titles, helped develop Tom Brady.
The rings.
Who cares that he gets the record? And I mean, that's how I feel. And I think
in a
that's
team
how
meeting room, he
too.
never talked about winning a game or games. It was always about winning Super Bowls. I think that's going to be the main thing for him.
Care about the record?
For whatever it's worth, Hembo has the number up there because if you're watching, you've probably heard both of these numbers out there. The number that you're looking at on the screen includes playoffs. He's 14 shy of that. If it's exclusively regular season,
is Andy Reid not going to break it
he
in
may.
a
It
year or
depends
two
on
as
how
well?
long he coaches. D. Wood, good luck to your son. Thank you for jumping in here.